So let's just go ahead and start building this out. So first, we've got the cursor here in the middle. So let's make a cube, right? Bring it up. That's going to be the torso. Let's add another one for the feet. And then we're just going to add a mirror modifier. And let's do it on the X. Bring that to the right and left. All right, feet. Let's do another one. It's coming together so fast. Hey, look, it's a head. Sweet. All right, how about some hands? Let's do that and then bring it to the side. Oh, I forgot to put the mirror modifier on it. Let's go ahead and put that there. Hey, look, guys, it's Rayman. All right, so thanks for tuning in, guys. This has been a great stream. I'm looking forward to doing this again in the near future. But until then, have a great day. No, I'm just kidding. You want to see how goofy this trophy looks from like the front? What is that? I mean, so Rayman's design is made to be seen from the side, which is evident by the fact that like all of the promotional art and most of the sprites, the HD sprites and legends, show them from the front, or rather from the side, not from the front. And so when they actually show him from the front, they usually tilt his head down. I noticed this. I was talking to Andrew last night about it. But the Hoodlum Havoc model is a little bit more tolerable from the front. Although this model rip is really weird. Look at this, like the way that it's skewed right now. I'm really weirded out by this model rip. But that's just the way things go sometimes. It's not that the trophy is bad. It's just that it's meant to be viewed from a very specific angle, because Rayman's his design thrives as a 2D design, and so when they translate it into 3D, they make it look good from one angle, like this angle right here. But then as soon as you see it from other angles, it's weird. Like the foot stance is obviously a little bit silly. The eyes are skewed to the left so that they're sort of biased towards this particular camera angle. When you're playing to the camera, you see a lot of this in animation, actually. Like if you watch any sort of behind the scenes stuff of Hotel Transylvania, a lot of their posing only looks good from the camera angle, and because they can control exactly where the camera's going to be at any given moment, it doesn't look bad. But that's just not the case for a game. You have to be able to have it look good from all angles. So it's going to be interesting seeing if I can manage to make a model that looks good from every angle, because in theory you'd be able to take this and actually port it, like obviously make a lower resolution version, but I'm probably going to sculpt on top of this, so I'm not super concerned with the topology being sensible right now. I'm sure people who are modelers out there are probably like, why would you do that? That's a stupid idea. I just kind of improvise as I do this. I'm not really all that concerned. I just need to get the basic framework out first. I was watching a hard surface modeler earlier today. It made me feel very inadequate as a hard surface modeler. There's so many different styles of modeling out there, like types of modeling categories, and to be good at all of them is difficult.
Hey.
Yo, how's it going, man? Welcome, Sir Fluffy Fox, to the chat, everybody. Nose. And then let's do the eyes. Bring it up.
Will you rig the model to make it animated?
Well, so it will be rigged for the sake of posing, probably. It's silly because there's not limbs, so it's going to be a lot easier to rig this. But the thing that we use for rigging is called Rigify, which is sort of an automated system that lets you create humanoid rigs really quickly. Yeah. Obviously, Rayman is not quite humanoid, so it's a little bit different. We only really lead the hand controls because everything else is pretty easy to pose. I guess being able to flex the feet. But yeah, we're going to be rigging it. Probably not today, in another stream. Alright, so now we've got a sort of mouth thing going on. Rayman is such a weird character. Rayman, what are you? What even are you? Somebody earlier asked... He is a good lad. Somebody earlier asked why I didn't do a model sheet for this. I just wanted to try to fly by the seat of my pants, and also because it's... Sometimes when you make a model sheet, it's difficult to really fully understand everything spatially, and sometimes when you get into modeling, it ends up not really being all that helpful, especially for a character that is sort of weird like this. So I just decided against it for this one. Maybe that was a bad idea. I don't know. Yeah, so you know that Owlboy Smashified we did? They made a figurine out of it. You can buy that at the Yeti. TheYeti.com. Not a sponsor.
not officially sponsored, but hey, that model is there.
It's the first model I've ever worked on that actually got turned into something physical, which is exciting.
Yeah. Zaku is asking, will Sonikified come to life and re-rendered?
Good question. So for those of you who aren't aware, when we made that Sonikified video, the date was April 1st, so it was a joke. But so for those of you who also don't know and don't follow me on Twitter, perhaps, I'm actually sort of like a fair weather sort of lapsed Sonic fan. I actually grew up playing Sonic Adventure 2, and it's sort of what made me into a digital artist, just trying to make sprites in MS Paint and things like that. So that franchise is sort of important to me, and so I would say I have an interest in making Sonic related art because that's what I grew up doing. So I would say that it is within the realm of possibility that we could actually see some Sonic content on the channel. Man, this looks really silly right now, but don't they always at the start? Man, he looks like a mess right now. This looks like when you aren't that good at Blender, you sort of just improvise the whole time, and then by the end it hopefully looks like something good.
Do you want to like kind of talk a little bit about like the whole thing with the channel rebrand, since we could
I can kind of riff on that. So the channel rebrand was an idea that I had a long time ago, before we even rebranded the channel as Smashified. When I was trying to figure out when it was still Artsy Omni, the name of the channel, I was trying to figure out how do we turn this into something that's not just me. And so we actually sat there for a while, like months at a time, on and off, just trying to come up with a different name other than Smashified, and we couldn't come up with anything, so we just settled on let's just make the channel Smashified, and so we did. And when it came time to explore what more can we do with the channel other than Smashified, now that Super Smash Brothers isn't as big of a thing, that was before the new game was announced, we started talking about what can we name it again, and then so more months went on where we're trying to just, as a committee, come up with a name, which is never a good idea. Usually names come from a single person. And then that was around January of 2018. And that's when I designed the logo, and then that's when I tweeted about it in a hint in January of last year. And that was in the teaser trailer. You could see that tweet. And you can see it in all of the videos subsequently. I used that vector path sort of pattern as a background for different elements of the brand, especially in the Otis Smashified. You can see where I used a lot of that. And then I bought a house in May, and then my life got turned upside down, and so
you went to Bel Air.
Yeah, and so everything just stopped. It makes me a little sad because there's so much that we worked on over the course of the year that we never showed anybody, and that's all the stuff that you see in that trailer, plus more. Actually, there's more from where that came from. So that's the story of Curiomatic. It was like just one of a lot of different ideas for a rebrand that we liked enough, and it boiled down to the fact that no matter what we came up with, it was always going to feel weird at first, like any name that you're not used to. But it occurred to us, it doesn't really matter what we call it. People will start to recognize it as a name over time. Like Smashified, what the heck is that? It's sort of just, a play on words. But what the heck is Twitter?
Right.
Like, we only accept it as a name because it's something that exists. And so if I'm sure people who heard the name Curiomatic for the first time in this rebrand were like totally like, that's a cool name, neat. But for us, we had to like let it stew and accept the fact that, you know, we'd be locked into this thing forever, or who knows, probably forever. I don't know. We have the URL now, so we're kind of stuck with it.
Yeah,
Yes.
and then
Autotron says, was it inspired by the N64 logo? It was inspired by
Oh, shit.
logos of that era, yes, both PlayStation and N64. But not the Boomerang logo. That is just a coincidence. I've never seen that until like a few days ago. The Cartoon Network Boomerang logo.
the Boomerang logo. Right?
So the Boomerang logo is like a diamond platform with a B on it, and then the word
Yeah.
Boomerang's like on the side, just like that particular version of the Curiomatic logo, which isn't, you know, like an essential part of the logo. The main logo is the two question marks and the C. There's a lot of layers to this logo. It's fun watching people discover, like, oh, I just realized there's a C in the logo, and also a question mark, and also an upside down question mark. And it looks like the N64 logo. Yes, all of it was intentional.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff about the logo feels really well thought out, which is always good when you have a logo for something.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, you don't want to have a logo that's like very basic and it's just like, this is a bee. Hello.
Right.
We are I don't know. We are the big gamers. Here's our B logo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fine. Like, Smashified it's just the Smash logo with a brush and a pen, and it's not super inventive or anything like that. But for this one, I definitely was trying very hard to make it mean a lot. So Rayman is one of those characters that has two conjoined eyes. It's always tricky to figure out how to handle that. Like, 50% of the process of modeling a character for me is something that looks bad until it finally looks good.
Until it looks good. I mean, that's pretty much all art, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose. All right, I'm going to have to consult some other reference because I'm having trouble envisioning what his mouth should look like closed. It's difficult because Rayman's face changes a lot depending on what his expression is. Like even like the quote unquote anatomy of his face sort of changes a lot. So trying to come up with a baseline face that would just get deformed by the rig is difficult. So I am going to have to look around. I guess it's not really that different from the Hood'em Havoc. And that's the tricky part about having this Wii U model to look at because it's an open mouth pose.
Yeah.
I really just need to bring everything from like this point up.
What poly count do you aim to stay under for game ready models? Is 10K good, or are things generally higher than that nowadays?
Good question. When it comes to Super Smash Brothers, they're anywhere from like 10K, maybe even some are 8K to like 20K. So it depends on the character, really. I know Cloud in Wii U was like 22,000. But then Charizard is actually like surprisingly low. He's like 8K in Wii U. I haven't seen the poly counts for Ultimate models, but that was the case for Wii U. I'm just gonna give this guy some temporary pupils so that he doesn't look like a dead person. Rayman is a weird character. I love the games. Like, I was watching AGDQ, a speed run of Rayman 2, and it occurred to me that game really holds up aesthetically because all of the textures are hand painted. Some of the textures are animated. Like, if you look at flying through a tunnel of brambles, the walls are just flat plains, but they're also the textures are animated, and so you can see the brambles sort of like undulating, and it's really impressive for a N64/PC PS1 game. I was very impressed. It still holds up. Like, honestly, it looks good even today.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I like certain like N64 games too. I'm like crazy about still because there are some games that still look really good.
Oh, he's starting to look like a person. Look at him. Look at that child.
He's the boy. He's the boy.
All right, let's do some hair stuff. How am I going to go about doing the spikies when my topology going in is just 2 quads wide. Alright, so it's occurred to me that the hair is not symmetrical, so I'm going to have to diverge from this particular mirrored path eventually, I think. But for now, well, actually, it's hard to say. Let's see, he's got 4 big ones-ish, and then some going up the middle. Let's give this guy a tongue, so he can lick things. As far as owning your taste, it just boils down to like doing stuff and making sure you're getting enough input. Like art is a input output sort of thing, so you have to be making things, but also you have to be taking things in. You have to fuel your taste by seeing other people do stuff that you like and then trying to replicate that in certain respects, but then make sure you're also making your own stuff, and then over time you'll just really start to find your voice as far as how you like to create things. Let's do some feet. That should be easy. I say that now, I'm gonna regret it. I should probably be naming my things more specific other than cube.001. So I kind of want to make different feet based on the different iterations of Rayman. I talked about this a little bit earlier in the stream, but I want to make costumes for each of the iterations. I might not do it all on stream, but that's sort of the plan. It just occurred to me that this hood is way too small.
Costumes for what do you mean? Like
all costumes. So it would change, like the original Rayman design had like a bandana or like a neckerchief kind of thing instead of the hoodie. And so I want to make that those shoes, and then the Legend shoes, or I suppose the Wii U shoes, because the Legend shoes actually don't have these stitchings right here, which I'm going to do for this model. I also want to do the original feet, which had like a weird strap over the top. There's all sorts of things I can do. I wouldn't change like the body proportions or anything like that. Like the hair is going to stay the same, because the hair's changed too over the years. But I'm just going to stick with this one. It's just going to be the clothes that change.
Oh,
why
wrong.
is it so
Everyone is excited for hands.
Oh boy.
I did not say that word. Glover. Oh man. You ever played Glover before, Rami?
I have. I rented it when I was a kid, and I don't think I fully grasped what the heck was happening in that game, because I didn't get past the first level. I was an idiot, apparently.
Well, I mean, we were all
kids.
Idiots at one point.
Oh, we've got a T-pose! All right. Oh. We need the hoodie pull strings. Duh. All right, let's see. 8. Shrink it to death. Stand it. Apply the location of the string. Shrink it down. Spin. Angle. Increase. Steps to... I'm not finding it. I'm just gonna type it in. What am I thinking? There we go. Look at that. Spun a string into a loop in the hood. I only recently learned about this function from watching a video earlier today, and I feel real dumb. Alright, so we've got the block in done in 2 hours, which is pretty slow. But it's blocked in. We are blocked in.
We are officially blocked in.
So I was debating whether or not there should be like an opening in the bottom of his hoodie or not. I think maybe not. All right, the feet are not proportional right now. I need to make the back way smaller. Way smaller.
I've seen this question a couple times. Someone is asking if you can explain how you've done lighting setups for Smashified? It's kind of a complicated question to ask.
Yeah, so we improvise every time. We have no set lighting setup that we reuse. We just make it up every time. And that probably sounds stupid, but you really kind of have to light to the forms of the character a lot. Like, you have to create a lot of extra lights that really wouldn't make sense in a real life lighting setup. And maybe we're overcomplicating it, and maybe Nintendo's actual lighting setup is pretty standard for theirs, but it's not something that I'm actually very good at, lighting. So we in the past we've used a plugin called Pro Lighting Studio to get us started, and then we go from there. But lately, with the ones we did for Hat in Time, we just made up our own lighting setup for that. In short, we just improvise. A lot of this process stuff is just improvisation. Check it out. We've got some eyebrow eyelid looking dealio eyelashes. The trophy model makes it look like they're eyebrows, but they're really close to the eyes. So then are they just eyelashes? I don't know. I don't understand. And it's super inconsistent. And I really wish there were more sources to look at, because I don't understand.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy the amount of people that grew up with that game and just never think about it until like it's brought up in conversation.
Right.
Well, that's like with a lot of games.
Yeah, like Bomberman Hero. I imagine people don't really think about that game anymore, but as soon as we talk about it or show it in the trailer, people are like, yeah, I loved that game.
Oh yeah.
That's sort of what we like really love to work on, is stuff that's obscure that isn't relevant anymore, which is sort of counterproductive if you're trying to make a YouTube channel that attracts people.
Trying to make a super popular YouTube channel.
Like,
whoa.
you can't bank on these obscure properties that no one knows about. But we love making stuff out of those obscure properties. And I feel like it has to be done. It's almost like it has a life of its own that's waiting to come out. And if we're not there to do it, then who will? Samuel, good name, asks, are Rayman's eyes going to be asymmetrical? Probably. It's tricky because you can't do asymmetry very easily when you're trying to model both sides and have them be generally the same. So I'll probably have a shape key or something that does some asymmetry to the face once like the baseline shapes are in place. I'm trying to make this face look better than that face over there right here, which looks great from the side. Again, they designed it to look good from the side, but it does not look good from the front. And it's not like you'd see it a lot from the front in Smash either, but it would be nice if it still looked appealing, because you'll see Rayman, in victory poses, and I'm over here planning it like it's gonna be in the game or something, when it's not, obviously, but I like to think through the logistics as if it's actually gonna be implemented. Hey Rayman, how do you see over your nose? Because your line of sight goes right onto your nose. What do you think, guys? Is this head starting to look right to you? I still got to fine-tune the hair a lot. The hair, excuse me. I should be looking at the 2D art for this torso refinement. Oh, hey, look! I brought this guy into the scene also, just in case I needed it, because I found that his head was more symmetrical. Vortex Rayman. He's from Hoodlum Havoc. He's sort of like a weird superhero costume looking dude. Yeah, the pull strings are going to be rigged with some bones so I can pose those.
I was gonna say, I don't think you're at that part yet.
No, I'm not at rigging, not in this stream. In fact, I'm probably gonna take another stream to be able to finish the mesh itself.
I was gonna say, I'm like, just throw it all into Rigify and you'll have it, right?
Well, Rigify still requires a lot.
That's how rigging works, right?
Yeah, I wonder if people are under the impression that rigging is a simple part of the process. It's definitely not. It's one of the most technical parts of the modeling process. Yeah. And that's why they have things like Rigify for people who aren't technical artists, so that they can do some rigging. Because I would call myself like a 3D generalist, probably. I know Andrew titles himself as that as well.
Was Andrew titled himself?
A 3D generalist, which means you're pretty okay at the general pipeline of making a character or making anything in 3D, but I'm not super great at any one thing. which means I'd probably be an okay like creative director, but
Yeah.
I'd have to start specializing if I want to make something
The creative
like
optimist.
like people on Twitter who were making Super Smash Brothers remastered after creating the God of War art for the PS4 game.
Oh, Jesus.
Ralph Grassetti, have you seen his stuff?
No, I haven't.
I don't actually know how to say his name. Raph? Is it Raphael, maybe? He's been making realistic interpretations of all the Super Smash Brothers characters. And if you know me, I'm averse to taking cartoon characters and turning them realistic. But it's interesting to see how he's very, very deliberately trying to keep as much of the core appeal of the character while also making them very realistic. I would say it's pretty hit or miss as far as my enjoyment of that series that he's working on, but a lot of people seem to be really into it. And he's doing a good job, I will say. He's making them like daily, way faster than me.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sculpting them in ZBrush and then coloring them in Photoshop. Brooks Eggleston had some interesting thoughts about how Kirby's physiology would be. He has a YouTube channel where he does this thing called Character Design Forge.
I'm familiar with Brooks.
Yeah.
Brooke.
And he was suggesting, and I think I've had this thought as well as I'm sure plenty of people, that like Kirby's skin is basically like a membrane that just adheres to the interior workings of however his body works mechanically, and so there'd be these sort of free roaming spheres underneath the skin that can move around wherever they want. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
The logistics are kind of silly to think about, but all right, I'm going to go ahead and start putting in some temporary materials just to start visualizing this a bit more, and then I'll probably be done for the stream. But let's go ahead and make let's go ahead and make a new material. Well, everybody, I think we're coming up on the end of this particular stream. We're going to be finishing this guy later. Maybe next weekend-ish, Friday, I can do another stream. It's going to be super kind of spontaneous, honestly. Just be on the lookout as we continue to work on all sorts of things. Sonic DJ says, I opened Blender, but it was so scary I closed it and never opened it again. That is literally what I did before 2016, a long time ago. I wanted to try to learn 3D modeling. I downloaded Blender, and I was instantly terrified and then closed it and then never opened it until 2016. And I really regret that, because if I had started back then, I'd probably be way better than I am now. So if you want to make 3D models, but you think Blender is scary, power through it. Push through and actually try to learn it, because one, it's actually more intuitive than it seems. It's just also very busy looking. So find a good tutorial. Blender Guru makes some really great tutorials. I found one by another guy that I can post in the description maybe. Really go for it, and don't let the intimidation factor fool you into thinking that you're not going to be able to figure it out, because you can definitely figure it out. So thank you so much for watching this initial launch stream of Rayman ReSmashified under the new brand Curiomatic, and I hope you guys are excited about all the other stuff that we're going to be doing. So until then, stay curious.